I'm Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, and on this episode of Classic and Vintage Series, we're going to be making the Broken Dishes Quilt Block. Now this block can be really tricky in the center, so that's why we're using the Square in a Square 8-inch tool by Creative Grids. We're also going to be using 2-inch triangles on a roll paper for the outside so you get a perfect block. Now this is a free pattern. You can download it at fatquartershop.com, and if you want to make it in a larger size, we also have a low price pattern available at Fat Quarter Shop. So let's get started. To start the block, download your free pattern and cut all your pieces. Then we're going to take our fabric F and cut it on the diagonal ones, and that's going to give you 4 triangles for each block. And once you use this Creative Grids ruler and see how it's going to trim up your block perfectly, you're going to love it. And doing the quilt like this is giving us lots of possibilities because we're using ombre. So you can see we have a dark and we have kind of a medium print. And so it's going to give us a really beautiful ombre effect to our block to make it even more beautiful. And we're going to cut that B on the diagonal ones. And we're going to start building our block. So in our block, we're going to be building the block from the center out. And this is going to be so much fun. You're going to take a fabric C square, 2 fabric F triangles, and we're going to put them on each side. To do that, what I like to do is crease the center of all of these, and then line up my creases. That way you know you've got it centered. Add a couple of pins. And then you're going to use a 1/4-inch seam and stitch down both of these and press toward the outside. That is going to give you your first section. Then you'll just trim these little dog ears off right here. And then from here, I'm also going to mark my centers. Boop, boop. Find my centers of my triangles. This doesn't have to be exact, but this will just help you a little bit. Pin also. These are bias edges. Right here on the triangles, that's bias, so it's very stretchy. So by pinning, it's going to help keep everything nice and flat on your sewing machine. If you don't pin on bias edges, sometimes things can get a little wonky. You're going to stitch with a 1/4-inch seam, and you get this unit. And this is how beautiful this gets. You're going to take this, and without even thinking, you don't have to do any funny math. You're going to use this Square in a Square ruler. And on the ruler, there is a B1 line. It says block B-1. And there is a white square. And you're just going to trim. So I like to do 2 sides at once. Rotate. Place that back on there. And again, you've got right here. Line that up. And this is going to give you a perfect round 1 center unit, and it's going to have all your 1/4-inch seams perfectly matched, and then you're not going to have any wonkiness as we keep building our block. So we're going to keep building our unit, and if you've ever made one of these before where it's not perfect on the outside, you're going to really be impressed with this one. And now we've got to add to the other sides, and we've got ombre, so you could do all dark, all light. You could kind of switch it up where you've got dark on 2 sides, light on the other, or you can just do it random, however you want. And we're going to be building the same way. So the first thing we'll do is match your centers, and you can match with that intersection right there, and you can see that that is exactly a 1/4-inch away. And this time I would do 3 pins. And the ombre is going to be throughout your quilt, so you really don't have to plan it out because it's gonna all melt together when you get all your blocks together. So you're gonna sew with a 1/4-inch seam, and you will get the same type of unit. again, and we're going to cut these little dog ears off. And then we'll do the same thing with our last 2 triangles. Matching your centers, pinning, matching your centers, and then you will stitch again with a 1/4 inch seam, and your round 2 unit is going to look like this. So it's got lots of area for us to trim. And if you take your Creative Grid square and a square ruler, there's a block B2. So you'll just place just like this. And this time, since it's a little bit bigger, I'm going to just do one side at a time. And you're just going to place it right here. And this is going to trim this down to 8.5 inches, which is going to then fall in line and be the perfect size for us to add our outside part to the block. And so you're just following this little corner, and you've got your round 2 unit, which is the center of our block. So then we can move on and add to the outside. We've been using tricks this whole time to get a perfect block, and we're going to continue with that theme. For the outside, you're going to need 8 2-inch finished half square triangles. So we're going to use triangles on a roll. When it comes, you just open the roll. Inside, it will tell you the size of your finished triangles, so you don't need to keep your wrapper. See right there, it says 2-inch finished. And then we just need a 2 by 2 section. So at the very beginning, you get a little bit with the glue. You're just going to throw those out. And then we're going to cut a 2 by 2 section, which is going to give us 4 squares. You're going to take a fabric A and a fabric E, place them right sides together, place your triangle paper right on top. I'm going to put pins on the outside. We're going to go to our sewing machine, and we're going to sew on the dotted lines with a 1.5 stitch length, and then we're going to come back. So we stitched on all of our dotted lines, and now we're going to trim. You're going to trim on the solid lines. I like to trim all 4 outside edges first. And cutting here is pretty important for your accuracy, and stitching on that dotted line, staying right on that line, is going to give you perfect half square triangles that finish at 2 inches. And triangle paper, triangles on a roll, comes in lots of sizes, but for this one, we're just using the 2-inch finished. So then we're going to cut these down into squares on our straight lines. And then we're going to cut these diagonal pieces. The diagonal does not have to be exact, because that is going to be your seam allowance. And doing this is going to give us 8 half square triangles. So that is done. Now what I like to do is fold them back right on that dotted line, and we stitched with a 1.5 stitch length so that it has a nice tiny stitch, so when you pull your paper off, your stitches don't come out. So we have all of this done, and then what I like to do is just pull the paper off. It's going to just come right off. If you put your thumb right at the intersection where you're going to pull, it's just going to come right off. We're going to do that on all 8 of these, and then we're going to go to the ironing table, and I'm going to show you how to press them. So to press these, I like to set my seam first by just pressing them down flat. That's going to secure your stitch, and then press toward the dark on this one. And I like to just press nice and gentle, put the very edge of my iron right on that seam, and just let it sit a little bit. It's going to get it nice and flat. We're going to do that on all 8. And then we're going to clip the little dog ears off, and then we can assemble our block. And then you're going to clip your dog ears off on all of these half square triangles, and we're ready to do our final assembly. We're going to make rectangle units to go around the outside of our block. You're going to take a fabric G rectangle and 2 half square triangles. Make sure they point in, and you're going to stitch with a 1/4 inch seam, and this is going to be your rectangle unit. You're going to make 2 of these, just like that. Then you're going to make 2 more that are just like the ones above, except you've added a fabric D rectangle to the edge of both of those. So you're going to make all of these just like this, and then we're going to assemble our block. To build your block, you're going to add your center unit. You're going to add 2 rectangle units, and you just want to pay attention to the direction of your half square triangles. For example, you don't want it to look like that because that would look really funny. So you're going to assemble these 3 with a 1/4 inch seam, and that is going to look just like this. And you can see how the ombre is looking different on all of them. And then you're going to add these 2 and stitch with a 1/4 inch seam using lots of pins, and here is your beautiful block. We would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to download your free block, and we have a low price pattern if you want to turn it into a quilt. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.